Hey guys, Jeff here at Ghost Night Gaming. In theory, this little blog post is just going to be a quick short one with the weekend coming up and snow flying, but you didn't hear me say that. Today I just want to actually talk about templates. Because, yeah, pretty much most of your cosplay work isn't going to exist without templates. They're essential to getting the shape you want and to be able to see and test how everything looks. So, for those that have kind of seen some of my earlier stuff, you see that I'm using a lot of templates for a lot of different stuff. I mean, can't reach. Here's the template for the bow, or at least part of the template. A lot of these templates are going to come in like tons of pieces. So here's piece 1, piece 2, piece 3, piece 4, piece 5, 6, and 7. And there's even more pieces coming once I actually finish that project. So it tends to get a little crazy. I've got templates laying about the house. For any of you that have seen my Facebook page and seen some of my other pictures, actually I don't know if I've shown all my pictures. Here is a pile of templates. And what that all becomes when I'm done, that. So it doesn't look like much with all the pieces all over the place like so, but once I kind of put it together, it starts to form things like this. So those templates, yeah, they can turn into some pretty awesome stuff given the time. Next week or next video I've got is going to be about finishing up the bow quiver, and here's all the templates for that. There's the bow strap, the bottom of that, and half of the quiver itself. Doesn't look like much until you put it together, but that's totally going to become a bow later. Some of our templates look awesome. Some of them look very innocuous. When you're figuring out your templates, I find the biggest dilemma a lot of times is depending on how many pieces you're going to need to create your stuff. So something simple like this thing only needed 2 pieces. So the template was fairly straightforward. It's behind there. I'm not going to reach for it right now. But that's what it looks like when it's done, right? And, so it's not too bad. And I measured it out so that this would fit right in there with no problem. And as you can see, I had to make a slight modification right here, just so the trigger guard would go further down. And then I had to improvise a bit to support the sides with the straps. But that's that. Measuring out and sizing your template is huge. You want to have a lot of your pieces measure out to you. And there's a couple of ways to start building your templates. Now, if you have forms, that's a great way to do armor, helmets. So, for example, my little friend here that's been hanging out in the back and looming over us most of my videos. This guy's great. He's a little beaten up. I kind of cut his head. He's great for helmets, masks, and other things like that. You can get body forms. Now, mine's not done yet. I still have to stuff it and make it all look awesome. So that'll come later. And then you can just kind of roughly get measurements and estimate out. So doing a sword or an axe or a bow, you're going to want to kind of play with that a little bit. I do my best to gauge the size of the weapon based on the size of the character that I'm trying to cosplay as, and then compare them to my height. So for example, when I was working on the shotguns for Reaper, I basically looked at Reaper. He's about my height, so everything can go off of him. Now, that's the base core of the shotgun right there. Right, so I got to make 2 of these at some point. Here's the handle for it. Now, as you can see, my handle is actually fairly big for my hand. Right, but when it's done, it's going to look roughly the right size if you compare it to how he looks to how I'm built. So that's not so bad. Other times I'm going to look and I'm going to go, okay, well that weapon is approximately up to the guy's waist, say a sword, and they put it in the ground, you can see that the blade comes up to their waist. I'm going to measure off my waist to the ground to get that measurement, as opposed to trying to extrapolate how tall are they to how big that is, because I want it measured better to myself. And that's what you need to do, is measure this stuff for you to be comfortable. And then we get into the templating of practicality, and I'll get into that in another video later. So right now what I'm actually working on is I'm working on another holster for the same cosplay that this bow is coming from. It's laying over here, and same with the pick. If you guys haven't figured out what cosplay is yet, I guess you'll have to wait until I have pictures of it. So compared to this one, well, for the most part, it's roughly going to be the same thing. The only difference is it actually is longer. It goes higher up on the hip and hangs down. This one I can strap to my leg from just below where my hip connects, and it'll sit right on the thigh, is where this holster will sit. So, and some people have holsters like that. This one is actually going to belt at the waist and then go down to about halfway to the thigh. So what I've done is I've made a rough estimate, which is about a foot from my hip, about where the belt is going to sit, this guy here, to the thigh. So that's where I'm going to get my base measurement from, and the easiest way to do that is take your pencil, make it nice and sharp. I'm going to sharpen my pencil here. I got 3 sitting at this table. Okay, that's going to break, but anyway. And I'm going to take my ruler or whatever else I have to measure with, and I'm basically just going to mark at top and bottom. And there you go. So that's my first 2 marks. You're not going to be able to see them very well. They're here and here. So that's where the top of the holster is going to be, and that's where the bottom of the holster is going to be. So now I got to take a look at how wide I want it, and I only need it as wide as like partially the side of my hip. So I only really need it about that big, give or take. But then I got to take into account the weapon. And found these at the dollar store. They're $1. They're plastic. They're actually water guns. It's kind of awesome, you know. So I need, now my previous measurement actually works really well. Even this one fits perfectly, no problem. Goes right in, right out, and so on. So your standard toy gun. Now I'm gonna paint this to get it the colors I want. For conventions, they do ask that you have the tip marked as safe, so have the little orange thing. So I'll probably have to put that on when I do this. No pew pew, but it's water. Yeah, for safety reasons and so on. So when I do my template, I'm going to do 2 pieces to this template, maybe 4. My first piece essentially is going to be the back plate, so how it looks on the back. And I've looked at my the art for that one, and I might try to see if I can get that to pop up on screen for you guys to take a look at. And then I'm going to have to draw a second piece, which is actually going to be what's going to hold this, where it's going to hang out in on the holster. So there's going to be 2 pieces drawn to this. The base and then the holster. Now what I did that with 2 pieces for this one, and I basically just curved it. Now I would like to maybe make a strap here just to better define that shape. And you could also make it 3 pieces and just have it plop down on top, depending on how you want your look. But this one looks pretty good as is, other than maybe getting a little bit more curve here. So I'm not too worried about the look of this one. Yeah, so because of the way that holster looks and the fact that I'm having trouble, I'm going to have to actually go into game and find the a picture of the character wearing it, so I can actually see how far down the pistol sits in the holster. Because every picture I have of the side view or views of it, the gun is in hand or not even on the character at all. So I can't really gauge where it goes. And on the same thing, different pictures of it show different looks for the holster. So that sometimes doesn't help either when concept art doesn't necessarily make it to actual game rendering. So I'm gonna take a look here. So the way it kind of looks, it kind of curves a little bit, but the other thing I have to take into account is I need a place for the strap to go through. Now, the way it originally looks, it's actually hooked on both sides and goes around. Now I'm improvising, I've got this, unless I come up with another idea later. So I'm actually going to have to make slits in the holster like I did for this one, right there, for the strap to go in. I could also have it go in behind it, but it largely depends on what I want to do, because my other option is I can make a little, kind of almost like a piece that hooks onto this, and then have the second strap that's at the bottom be the final securing point. And that would keep it a little bit simpler. So we'll see how it goes. I can kind of play with that as I do my template. And you're going to find you're going to do that a lot. As you start drawing your template, you're going to look at it. As you start testing it, you may find something better. So don't be afraid to redraw your template if you think things aren't going to work out or if it doesn't measure out right. It's much easier to have 5 different sheets of paper with the attempts to make your template than to be using your actual material and end up with a ton of trial and error with your material, especially if you're on a budget. You want to make sure it's, draw twice, cut once, all right? And I've had that happen before where I kind of got a little ahead of myself, drew out my template, didn't really think it's like, oh yeah, I measured it, it's good and good and good, and then go to actually cut it, and I have an arm bracer here that, wouldn't even fit my hand through it because I didn't think that far ahead. So looking at my template, just looking at the picture over here, so I'm not really ignoring you guys. Oh, yeah. So it's wider up at the top and it kind of curves down in for the bottom piece. So I want to guesstimate, because I'm going to take into account my own leg size, what I want to do with that. Also, I can use this and go, okay, well, I know it's going to stay about here. It might hang down a bit. So, and that's where the actual holster piece is going to be. So, and looking at it, it's only pretty much just a little bit wider than the actual holster, the actual gun holding part. So I don't need it to be super wide up until it tapers up at the top. And even still, if I want to make it a little bit shorter to let it hang down further, or if I want to make it longer so that I can add something else to it, I can do that as well. I'm not really going to try to draw it right now because otherwise I'll be ignoring you guys for who knows how long until I get it to where I'm happy. So next chance I get, so it'll be the video probably after this one, I'll actually show you the results of this little project here, and I'll show you how that turned out once I'm done, and then look at some of the other accessory things for this cosplay I have to think about. So like I said, with templates, draw as much as you need, improvise as you have to, because we're not all the same shape or body size as the characters we want to portray. That's fine. So make it fit you. That's the important thing. Make it fit you. Make it look good to your satisfaction. That's the huge thing. Make it fit you, and that's important. So hope you guys enjoyed this. It's kind of a little bit of a improvised video here. Just wanted to talk to you guys a bit about templates, show you some of the other things I've done, and hopefully I'll have some actual finished or cost test pictures coming up really soon on my Facebook channel. Check out my other videos on YouTube. Like and subscribe if you're new to this, and comment below on anything else you want to see me do, anything you want to see more of, and we'll go from there. All right, thanks guys, have fun and keep gaming.